Hey, RPS kids, this is Mr. Thomas. I hope you all are home, healthy. Hope your family is doing well, and hope you're not too bored. We're going to talk a little bit today about articulations in music, and I'm going to explain what that is in a minute and how you can apply it to what you're doing if you have your instrument at home. And if you don't, we can talk about how to listen for those things in music. Now, let's talk about what articulations are. Now, have you ever seen in your music you have take a note, it has a dot over it, or a line, or it has an arc over one or more notes, or underneath? Those are called articulations, and all that means is you're going to change the note a little bit. You can make it a little shorter, a little longer. You could blend one note into the next, and what that does is allows you to get different sound textures and qualities into your music and to make your music more interesting. Now, as a musician, knowing more articulations is like a painter having more colors to use. So again, it just makes your music more interesting and makes you better able to express things through the music. So we're going to talk about 4 different articulations. Now, you can use these with all instruments except one of the articulations, and that's just for strings only. But if you play a brass or a wind instrument, you can use these to make your music more interesting too. So they are pizzicato, legato, staccato, and slurring. So, and here's the list. We'll give you a rundown and I'll explain each in turn. Okay, we're going to talk about pizzicato first. And pizzicato is an Italian word and it just means to pluck with your finger. Okay, so rather than using the bow, most of the time with string instruments we use the bow, but you also pluck. So, but the first thing you got to learn is how to hold your bow while you're plucking. So, with your right hand, like this. So, what you got to do is you got to make the loser sign like this. And then see these 3 fingers? What you're going to do is you're going to tuck. Here, let me use a different bow. That's a bass bow. So it may be easier to see here. So right at the frog, you put the frog under these 3 fingers, and then your thumb is free and your first finger is free. You're going to be plucking with your first finger, and your thumb typically goes on the side of the fingerboard. So if you're up here on a violin, you put it on the side of the fingerboard. So what that does is allows you to go back and forth between bowing and plucking without having to lay your bow down, pick it up, lay it down again, because a lot of times in pieces of music you have to go back and forth. So I'm just going to demonstrate playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, plucking with the bow in my hand. Right? So it's pretty simple, right? Now, but you might have to practice going back and forth between holding your bow like this and then doing this, this to this. So if you just do it a couple times, it's not rocket science. So if you're playing like this and you need to go back and forth, so you can switch up, for example, so going back and forth. So again, this won't apply to string play. Brass or wind players, but it's a cool thing to be able to do if you're a string player. And a lot of music calls for this sort of thing. So practice going back and forth between this and then your regular bow hold, back and forth. Okay. So That's pizzicato, and the next one is legato. Okay, now we're going to move on to legato, and in the last slide you saw the definition there. And really all it means is to play smoothly, to connect the notes together as much as possible. Now you're just going to use your bow back and forth. You're not going to be slurring, which we're going to talk about later. So it's a pretty simple concept. You don't want any space between the notes, and you want to play it as smoothly as you can. So I'm going to play Twinkle Twinkle again with a legato bowing. So you connect each note as much as you can while your bow is going back and forth. Now there's another song which you probably know that's great for legato. It is the Ode to Joy. Okay, so again, you want to get as smoothly as possible. Now, when you're playing a legato bow stroke, you want to have a little play in your wrist. Your wrist is going to move. If you're stiff at all, it's going to probably mean that your sound is not as smooth. So, without the bow in your hand, try this sort of motion with your hand where you're moving like a wave almost. Somebody described it to me as like maybe you're bouncing a basketball, but from the side like this. So you want this sort of motion. You don't want to force it like this, but you want this sort of flowing motion with your hand. Okay. So let me do Ode to Joy all together so you can see how you connect those things. I'm going to put the camera down a little bit so you can maybe see my wrist is going to move a bit. So. Okay, so I did add a little bit of staccato and some slurring in there, but most of it is back and forth motion, like this legato motion. So that's legato. Now we're going to talk about the exact opposite, which is called staccato. Now, before I forget, legato is usually just indicated by, in string music, it's just by the word legato, okay? Or sometimes there's a line over the note, okay, indicating that it's supposed to be sort of longer. Now, staccato, which you'll see in the next video, is the exact opposite. So. Okay, now we're going to do staccato, and again, like I said, it's the opposite of legato. So you're just going to shorten your notes, and usually it's indicated, as you could see on the slide, with a dot, okay? And that just indicates that it's going to be short. It doesn't indicate how loud or soft you should play it. It just shortens the note a little bit, okay? So, and it's fairly straightforward. Again, I'll turn it down so you can see what maybe I'm doing here. So you're going to, it's just it's like a puff of air, right? So we're going to play Twinkle Twinkle with the staccato. So. So again, there's a slight Legato is more like this. So staccato is more, it's just kind of a snap, right? So you want to get a short sound, but you don't want to stick in the string because you're getting all sorts of scratching like that. So you sort of hit it once and then sort of lighten up on the bow, but don't take your bow off the string. So pretty simple, and that's staccato. Okay, now the last one is slurring. As you can see in the slide, usually it's indicated by an arc over two or more notes. So what that means for a string player is you're going to do at least two notes in one bow direction. So if you're a violinist, this is down bow to your right, or it's an up bow. Now cello bass, it's right and left. So this is down bow and this is up bow. We're going to be starting with down bow. So the way I usually start this is just choose two notes, start with your open D and go to the E, all on a down bow. Now, if you play an instrument, say like the trumpet, you're going to go from your open valve, I think it's C, and then you're going to go to D. So usually I try to do it with a scale first, and then you can start applying it to other music you know. So again, just try the two notes at first, one bow direction, and for a wind player or brass player, what you're going to do is keep blowing through the two notes instead of stopping the airflow between the two notes. So now, so let me put this down here so maybe you can see what I'm doing. So you're going to go from D to E. So just try that. And maybe try up bow. And then you're going to go to the next two notes of the scale. Don't repeat any notes. So you're going to go D, E in a down bow, F, G, then A, B, C, D. All right, so we're going to try that. I want you to separate them for now. Put a little space in between each group of two, and then later on we're going to do it a little more evenly. So okay, so once you get used to doing that, you're going to connect them more together, and you're not going to have that space there. You're going to play each note evenly. So. Okay, so now you can play as many notes as you want in one bow direction if you play fast enough. But I like to start with two and then maybe go to four and then even go to eight, okay, in one bow direction. So again, you can play all of it in groups of four now. So okay, all right. Or you can, if you play a little faster, you can probably fit in all eight. Okay, and then you can branch out and do maybe groups of three, or, and we're going to talk about this in the last segment, is using all these things, all these elements, like pizzicato, slurring, and staccato and legato, just to make your music more interesting. So once you get used to it a little more, you can switch up your scale, maybe do two slurring, two staccato. So okay, so these are all things you can work on at home. And my last video, I'm going to show you how to use all these elements in one piece of music. And you can just take something you've learned and you can make it more interesting and play around with it and make it more expressive. Okay, so we're going to take a tune, and we're going to use all these elements in there, and I'm just sort of going to mix them all up however I feel like doing. I'm just going to make it up. So I'm going to play Ode to Joy, and I'm going to use pizzicato, legato, staccato, and slurring. So see if you can hear where I change to each different articulation. So there it is. So what I want you to do is try it at home. Okay, take a song that you know really well. Could be Twinkle Twinkle, could be Ode to Joy. Some of you might know Ode to Joy, and just switch it up. You know, use different articulations for each set of notes. Just add color to it. So if you don't have an instrument at home, what you can do is, and I'll add some links of some clips of people playing these different types of articulations, maybe on the instrument you play, but you can listen to certain pieces of music and really try to tell what they're doing. Okay, oh, those notes were staccato, those were longer, those were shorter. Oh, they're slurring this part here. And there's a wealth of information and videos online about this, or you could just watch maybe a symphony orchestra playing. And especially you can watch the strings. It's really easy to tell what they're doing because the bows are going back and forth, maybe going da 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 da, and they can, or you can see them going back and forth to plucking. So thanks for watching this video, and stay at home and be safe.